Okay, so let's see what we covered so far from week one so that we can get ready for your midterm exams, right? So this is our unit outline. It says technique in social media. We have 5 learning outcomes. So number one is examine technologies for social media content design, which means we need to look at how content is designing, like say what tools are used. For example, like there are things like Photoshop, Illustrator, then there are, if you're using videos, there are video editors. Then if you're coupling that with the audio, then there are audio editors. Various tools are there to do content design. And then there are also theories about what kind of content. So there are not just videos and posts, there are white papers, there are ebooks, then there are research questionnaire. There are all kinds of posts that we can have as social media content. Okay, so remember, it's not just a Facebook post that we are talking here. And then number two, analyze social media design principles and patterns. So there are certain principles that we need to adhere to. For example, the size of a post or a picture on Instagram is square. Whereas on Facebook, it might be depending on whether you want a mobile version, then you will have a portrait. If you have a laptop version, then you will have a landscape mode. Maybe you need to have both of them, right? So things like that. If you're making banner advertisement for Google, then Google has their own sort of sizes for banners. So these are principles and also patterns. Patterns as in there are predefined ways of doing things. So that we need to study from these various social media platforms and apply them when we are creating it. Number three, onward becomes, we get into the technical side of it. So develop platform independent applications. So this is where we are trying to understand if we are to use social media and what can we do from a programming point of view, right? Meaning, can we use social media as an authentication system? Like you don't need to remember username, password for your application. Instead, you can use Facebook to log in, or Google to log in, or Instagram to log in, or GitHub to log in, things like that. And then once you log in, that is only the authentication. So you will continue to sort of work on your application. But you can also, since you are authenticated using the social media account, you can actually request more information from the social media. For example, when you log in, you will only get username, perhaps even email only, right? Email and a username. Those are the two main things you get. But what about full name? What about their interest? What about access to their calendar? What about access to their email boxes? Things like that. That all can be done using a technique known as graph database or graph access or graph query, yeah, or graph API. There are different ways of calling it, yeah. And ILO4 is also very, very important. So while accessing all this information, we need to be very careful about the privacy policies. So you can't, allow people to authenticate using Facebook and then go and read their private information. You can do it, but it's illegal. Yeah. So you need to be very careful about the legal side of that. So there are policies, there are legalities, there are stuff like that. We need to understand what is coming under that. And also, how do you develop a strategy? Say you want to go for a campaign. So how can you do it? How can you target it locally and also internationally? Right. So these are the 5 main ILOs, right? Intended learning outcomes. Now, if you look at the detail right under here, you can see starting with the first one, technologies used in social media. So we are looking at web technologies, front-end technologies, APIs, also chatbots. Now, there are a lot of AI getting incorporated now. For example, Facebook has an AI chatbot available. So we can do a little bit of modification, not even programming actually, data loading. You can immediately start using the Facebook chat, right? So when people ask simple questions like, is it still available? What is the price? what colors are available. Simple questions, straightforward questions. We can get the automated chatbot to answer these questions. And then design criteria of social media applications. So we are looking at the different use cases. So this is also where we spoke about information architecture, right? How to architect information in a way so that users are connected to information, right? We have two things. We have users, we have information. So how are we connecting is the question, so that it becomes useful for the users. Then privacy policies in social media platforms. Now, I told you the legality is very, very important, because very soon you can get into trouble, right? So you need to be very, very careful. So what is the role of privacy policy? What are some of the local and international rules on this regard? Those are the things we covered under that. And then the last one is designing social media strategies, use of different social media applications, analyzing on social media trends, monitoring social media campaigns across platforms, and also monetizing on social media platforms. So these are the main areas under this unit. So we covered pretty much everything under this. So we looked at designing of content. We also looked at authentication technologies. We looked at Graph database or Graph API. So a lot of stuff is covered. Yeah. So I think you are now equipped to face midterm. There are a few more things to cover. Then after that, you can also face the final exam there, right? So that's what is required from the unit outline. So let's look at the presentation to see where we covered these things. So let me start with the week 1 presentation. By the way, all these presentations and recordings are all available on the LMS in detail. Yeah. So if you want the complete lecture, the recording is available there. So today I'm just going through summary. Right. So this was our lesson 1. So here we looked at information architecture, right? So what is information architecture? It's part of an interaction design that considers context, content, and users. There are 3 things. We have some content. Content is like, photos, videos, text, music, whatever. And then we have users on the other side. And then we also need a story to connect these two together, right? So that is context, right? So we have a bunch of content, we have a bunch of users, and we need a story to connect them together. So that is context. All right. So what it means, users need business goals, different types of content are there. And also, more than anything, structuring this content is very, very important. Because without connecting through a story, there is nothing to tell. Right. So under the same theme, we talk about the difference between UX, UI versus IA. Now, UX stand for user experience, UI stand for user interface, IA stand for information architecture, right? All 3 are equally important when it comes to giving information to our users. So UX or user experience is what users feel. We are talking about feeling now, right? When they interact with the product. Now, if you take a phone, right, when you hold it in the hand, is it heavy on the top, heavy on the bottom, right? Or can I use it with my thumb? How long can I bring my thumb to? Can I go all the way to the top, or is it on the middle part of the screen? Or do I need to hold it with both my hands? What about the laptop? Now, there is a space near the touchpad, there's a large space that is to keep your wrist. Yeah, many people don't use their wrist, so they use their hand and they just start messing with the keyboard. So it doesn't give them good user experience, right? So they get tired very fast, not knowing what is the problem. User interface is what you see on the screen. If it is a screen, if it is a device, how the device is designed. Now, if you look at how phones were designed before iPhone, they had large keyboard, small screen, right? And they were pretty heavy, bulky, can't show much on the screen. And what did Apple do? iPhone, they changed the entire keyboard. They threw the keyboard away and brought the whole screen as the input and output device. So that was a huge difference when it comes to both UX and UI. Okay, so this is equally important when it comes to web design or social media design. Whether it is easy on the user interface or whether it's also easy on their experience, or rather, do they get happy when they use the product? So information architecture refers to organizing and labeling content to make the product usable and understandable. Now we see how we are connecting it together, right? So why this is important? We in fact looked at many websites also, right? So when you visit a website and spend time looking for the information you need, you click on a link, then another, but then you can't find what you're looking for, right? So in that case, we have some problems. So we complain and say, look, I went to this website, I can't find what I'm looking for, right? Same thing can be said for your biodata or your CV. Now, when you're applying for a job, the employer want to scan your CV quickly and see what is the job you're applying for, where are you coming from, what is your city, right? What are the qualifications you have? Maybe more than qualification, your skills. What have you done? So if you can't give this information quickly, like if you start with your O-level result and your sport achievement in school, well, that's okay, but don't put it on the front page. This is information architecture. You have to push it down. On the page one, top section, you need to give exactly what they're looking for. So this is why it is important to design your CV or website or an application. This information architecture is very, very important. And then how do you do it? When it comes to company, how do you do it? So first, you have to define the company goals, define the user goals. So now you have to think like the user. Okay, what does the user want by coming to this website or by using this application or in fact reading my CV? What do they want, right? And then analyze the competitors. Now, how do other people do this? We need to look at that also. And then define the content. Like what do I have that I can present, right? So with that only you design your presentation. So here is a very nice presentation of how information architecture is connecting users, context, and content together, right? So users are what? They have tasks, they have needs, they're seeking for certain information, and there is a behavior or experience that they use, right? There is a normal way of searching for something. And if you look at the content, there are content types, right? Video, audio, text, pictures, and stuff like that. And also you might have a certain structure to present it also in the content, like page by page, or maybe hierarchy, or a video, then there is a sequence, things like that. And connecting these two is the context, right? So this is where the goals, funding, politics, culture, technology, basically the story is coming in. So when you combine users, content, and context properly, you have a very powerful information architecture, right? Or we can say the other way also. You will use information architecture to connect users, content, and context, right? So keep that in mind. Here's another one. This is called UED, user experience design. So there is interaction design, then there is visual design. And together, you have user interface. This can be not just for software application. This is also for devices like gadgets, like a remote control, food mixer, or a water bottle even, right? Why do we have certain shapes for our water bottle? Right. So this is a very important diagram. So as you can see, we connect people to the content and they're looking for this content. Yeah. How are we doing it? First, we classify. Then we label them. Then we have a navigation mechanism like a navigation map or menu and something like that. And then we also allow them to search. And that's how you connect people with information. So here's an example, right? So on the top, I have a bunch of cards: grass, airplane, frog, train, bus, leaf, right? So bunch of cards. Now, step number 2 is sorting. So you can sort them. You can see, right? Grass, frog, leaf can be one. Bus, train, airplane can be another group, right? So it's very simple to group them. You might have, complex areas. You might have multiple groups also. But then after you get that done, you label them. So for example, on the left, we can say things that are green. Or we can say natural. Or on the right, we can say things that are vehicles, right? So either way. Now here's an example of 2 websites that we discussed the other day. So on the left, we have a very detailed, highly loaded website. So there are a lot of stuff here. There are menus. There are summaries. Then there is navigation at the bottom. Main content. There are like top navigation. This is called the breadcrumb. And then we have another navigation on the left, another navigation on the right, another one down here, and another one down here. It's fully loaded, but as long as you go through this information architecture business, that fully loaded website should be easy to use, right? So don't think having too much is bad. Well, sometimes you need everything. But the thing is, how are you organizing it? Whereas on the right-hand side, we have a travel website. Very simple like a Google search engine, right? It says travel. So we know this is to do with travel. And we can also see a picture here. There's a man, there's a woman, there's a baby, and then they are traveling on a boat. And it says search for flights, hotels, and more. And then we have 5 icons. Explore, things to do, flight, hotels, vacation, rentals, things like that. So left-hand side is fully loaded, but they have used information architecture to present the information. Right-hand side, we have a very simple layout, but that also gives a very simple way to navigate the system. And then we looked at various navigation patterns, right? This is called the hierarchy. So you have a page. From there, you go to the home page, and then from there, you go to another page. Flat hierarchy. Here, you can have a page. Under that, you can have sub-pages. But remember, if you want to go from, let's say, sub-page here to sub-page here, you have to first go to the home page, and then to this page, and then to the sub-page. This is called a coexisting hierarchy, where you can go from anywhere, right? You see, everything is interconnected. This is also known as a network navigation, go from anywhere to anywhere. Then we also looked at typical websites and some application as to how they have organized their content, right? Now here is a library homepage. So this is only showing the research tab. Under that, we have these sub tabs. In fact, we have research and subject portals as 2 main areas. Under them, we have subcategories. So if you look at databases, then there is alphabetically ordered, subject-wise ordered, and then under online references, there are again links to outsiders and stuff like that. Yeah. So you can see level 1. This is called the primary level. This is called the orange color one is the secondary level. Then from there, we can come to the 3rd level and then to the 4th level. Okay, so here's another one showing a tool called a mind mapping tool. So we discuss this as a tool that we can use to very well organize our content. Now we don't have lines here, so we don't write line by line. This is a simple open book, yeah, white sheet. So we don't come to the computer first. So we take a large white sheet and we start drawing the mind map, and then we can see the connectivity between all the content, navigation maps. So this will give us patterns. We can identify patterns with this, yeah. So that allows us to see things in a very clear way. We can, in fact, connect something from one branch to another branch because maybe there is some interconnection, right? So those are very helpful tools to do the information architecture. This is called site mapping, very common when it comes to designing websites. So we have a home page. Under that, we have some other pages. Under them, we have various levels and levels and levels. So this is for a photographer, videographer portfolio. So here we have weddings and events, photographers, filmmakers, about, blog, contact, right? So under photographers, we have two people. Under filmmakers, again, we have one person. So we go down to the details. Another website, pretty complicated, but again, we have organized it in a way so that we can see the main pages and also the sub pages. Here's another one. Actually, after you design, especially when you're doing websites, you do something called wireframe. You just draw the blocks. This can be also for social media things where you draw the blocks and then later you change or rather replace that with the correct graphics and things like that. Right. So that was our week one. Right. In this industry, creativity is prized above all else, and the art of the craft must be honored. So creativity is extremely important. It's not just how your picture looks like, but also how creative you are when it comes to launching the campaigns and things like that. Right. So let's move on to our lesson 2. All right. So in this one, we asked the question, what is social media? So we're trying to understand social media. So number of different platforms which offers individuals, this is the definition by the way, individual opportunity to join a community, right? That's the plan. Or to share, create, and exchange information by using a variety of internet-based. Then we ask the question, why social media, right? So if you look at the latest information, April this year, according to the global overview, the growth is staggering, right? This is coming from the data report. More than half of the world now uses social media. That is like 62% out of the 8 billion people we have, right? 5 billion people around the world now use social media. 209 million new users have come online within the last year. So that's, big number. Average daily time spent using social media is 2 hours, 20 minutes. So what does that mean? 5 billion people average use 2 hours, 20 minutes online. And these are some of the stats we looked at. Most used social platform is Facebook, then YouTube. Least one is Pinterest. Then this is another one showing some statistics. So these presentations are there online, so you can have a look at it. So these platforms have become integral parts of people's daily lives, right? Influencing how we communicate, how we share information, how we connect with people, and even how we consume news and entertainment. That is very, very powerful. You see, many people have switch off the television and they come to Facebook or Google News or something online to get the news because they don't believe the news being pushed by the governments through their channels. So they come to online solutions to get the right picture. So what is significance and widespread usage? Significance means why? Why this is important? Yeah? There are a lot of reasons for that. Communication and connection is one. People use this to connect with their friends and family and others. And information sharing and discovery is another one that the reason they use this for. So it's very easy to share, easy to discover also. There are things that we don't know, you can find from here. And then networking and relationship building. Especially if you are an entrepreneur or if you're trying to sell some things, a service maybe, product maybe. So these are good platforms to networking, get to know other people and also start building relationships. And of course, marketing and brand building. And the last one is social activism. This is also becoming very famous among the social media. In fact, Twitter started with that social activism because you can send short notes like 140 characters. You can tweet to the phone, and then that's how it started. And then now, of course, we have Facebook and various others. WhatsApp is there. So this is also another area where people are using social media for. So what are some of the types available for social media? Remember, I told you, social media is not Facebook. Many Sri Lankan think social media is Facebook. Not really. So Facebook is just one tool among hundreds of other tools out there. Right? So there is personal networks. There is interest-based networks. There are e-commerce, media sharing, discussion forum, bookmarking, social publishing, online reviews. They are all coming under types of social media, right? And here are some examples. These are the topics. These are the real examples. So Facebook is just one, as you can see, right? There is LinkedIn, there is G+, there is Google Drive even. There is Vimeo, Twitter, WordPress, so many things out there. So where are we using these things for? Well, social networks for academic purposes, communication, business, professional. So you can sort of clarify or categorize many different platforms to many different things. Yeah. Dating networks, international, or even sharing multimedia. So what are some of the key features? Interactivity, that is ability to users to engage with content and each other. Now, this is a very important one, right? Keep that in mind for the exam. Now, earlier newspapers, we had one way. We go read the newspaper, that's it. We can't give our opinion. Now, if you know the news is wrong or bad or incorrect, we can't do anything about it. News is gone. But now you have interactivity. You can write back most of the time at the bottom of the article, giving your feedback saying, look, this is not the right case, or maybe you can copy paste another article under this also. So now we are engaging together, right? So as a news reporter, you got to be very careful also. Now you need to have accurate information, because if you publish wrong information, there will be somebody out there coming back and telling you that your information is wrong. And then connectivity. It doesn't matter whether, like, let's say if you start a Sri Lankan news channel, it doesn't matter whether your target is living in Sri Lanka or living outside Sri Lanka, right? So no problem with the distance or time zone or anything. And then, because the content generation tools are so easy to use nowadays, many people come online and create content, right? So I can download a picture and then have a poem, for example, or I can just have a poem, or I can go to photo generators and then generate a photo that is connected with my poem, for example. Or there are online tools like Photoshop. There is online versions available to edit your photos. There are online video editors available. So user-generated content is becoming very, very easy to create now. And the last thing is also very, very important. It's in one way good and bad, right? Virality. That means virus spreads very, very fast. Whether it is right or wrong, it sort of spreads so fast, right? So same can be said for social media news also. Whether the news is right or wrong, it will spread very fast. In fact, if it is wrong information, it will spread faster. So even if you recorrect it and try to push that, that might not go. Yeah. So you got to be very careful there as well. Then we looked at the evolution of social media, right? If you go all the way back to pre-internet era, we had a tool called BBS, Bulletin Board System. Very primitive, only text. And if you want pictures, they are very big those days compared to the network speed. So it was basically available only in your locality. That is like if in Sri Lanka, only Sri Lanka, within Sri Lanka it is available. You can't get international information, right? And then came online tools like ICQ, Bulletin, PHP, things like that, where you can have the discussion forum from the BBS, but global. ICQ was the first instant communication platform. And then came, various other tools like Messenger and whatnot. And then we can see stuff like Second Life, MySpace, Hi-Fi, Friendster coming up. Some sort of international connectivity coming in. Today, it's mostly dominated by stuff like Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and things like that. That's the evolution of social media. And here's another timeline from 97 to, this is by the way, 95 is when the internet was launched. So these are all internet-based tools. So as of today, we are looking at 5 billion plus people online. And Facebook also went out of their just the Facebook to something called Meta World. Meta World is a virtual world. It's not just the social media. No, they are creating another world for us, right? where you have houses, friends, anything, and you can become anybody there because it's virtual. Right. And then the technological advances and their impact on social media. Now, earlier we only had laptops, right? So we need a laptop or a desktop to go to the sites. But now, with the help of very fast smartphones, it is becoming very easy for anyone to get into the social media now. And also there are stuff like geotagging because your devices now have a capability to receive satellite signals. So it knows where you are now, right? So if you take a photograph, it can geotag it. It can say that you took the photograph here. Also, when let's say if you walk into a place and you want to inform that in your Facebook, it will automatically detect where you are and then add your location also. So things like that. Now it's becoming sophisticated because the software is using the features of the hardware now. So if you look at the phones that are playing a huge role in the social media, here's the revolution, starting from the very old crude phones to touchtone phones to mobile phones, from 1G to 3G to 4G to now 5G. So devices are sophisticated, speed is very good, screen size is large, you have bigger storage on the phone now. So in fact, some phones are faster than some of the laptops, right? So they support a lot of stuff, including streaming video, live videos. So here's um, the evolution of phones starting from 1G to 5G. Right? So we are also now talking about 6G. 5G is going to be too much. I don't know what we get with 6G later. Another big one happening is artificial intelligence. Now, already you notice Facebook is using it heavily. So it suggests lots of things to us. So if you go and click one advertisement, let's say you go and click on a biryani advertisement, you will continue to get biryani for the next couple of weeks, right? Or if you go and click on a, let's say, advertisement regarding programming classes, you will continue to get programming related post suggested to you. Or it will pull your phone contacts and try to see whether they are online and then suggest those people to you also so that you can add them to your Facebook. Same thing is happening heavily on Google as well. So everything you do with Google, Google knows. So they're using AI to suggest various things to keep you engaged and connect you to so many different things, whether it is people or places or advertisement and things like that. So this is some data again. Now we also talk about two more important things, AR and VR, augmented reality and virtual reality. So as of 2024, we can see the devices are ready, right? There are a lot of devices have come to the market, but we have yet to see any big business value as such. Yeah, there is, walkthrough of buildings and, stuff like that, but it's not mainstream, especially the Apple VR headset was pretty expensive. That like $3,500. It's an amazing piece of technology, but how many people will buy that? And then what are the things you can do with it? Is still, I think it'll catch up very soon by maybe next year or so. When the price come down, there will be a lot of people using this to various solutions. Now, what is the difference between augmented reality and virtual reality? Now, in augmented reality, you are overlaying. The keyword is overlay. So you turn on the camera of the phone, you point it to something, and it'll show you on the phone information about what it sees through the camera. Whereas virtual reality, you are looking at the camera and it generates the content for you. So the content is not there in really, you are seeing it. That's the difference there as well. So keep this also in mind for your exam. And here's another one to look at it. So there is virtual reality, where completely digitally created environment, and your eyes are closed, right? You can only see the created content. Whereas augmented reality, your eyes are not closed. You are superimposing information to what you're already seeing. Real world with digital information overlay. And there is also others like merge reality, real and virtual intertwine. They are coming together, right? So now there are opportunities for user interface design and various applications there. So these are futuristic stuff. So maybe next year, year after, there will be massive amount of opportunity. We're still waiting for a new thing to come up. So you have a lot of opportunity now to start researching, thinking about what you can do with these technologies. Yeah. So if you can come up with something great, well, you have a superb business opportunity. Not just local, it can be global also. And another one we see coming up and becoming mainstream is blockchain technology. So blockchain is essentially a mechanism where you have decentralized social media network. So you are having multiple copies of similar information so that people cannot tamper information. So this is very good when it comes to securing your data. So how does it work? Well, it saves your information in multiple places, and then if one person hacks and changes it, it won't succeed because it is not the same as in the other records, in simple terms. Okay? So what are some of the pointers when it comes to blockchain? It is decentralized, fewer third parties, distributed, digital ledger, trustless operation, meaning you're not storing information in one place and say, okay, I trust that person. No, it's everywhere. It's distributed. And also transparent and provable. Provable meaning if someone challenges about the data, you can pull from other places and prove and say, look, okay, it's same in everywhere. And another big one happening is the Internet of Things or IoTs. Why is that? Now, in social media, what is IoT doing in social media? Because IoT is connecting everything to the internet, whether it is your gate, fan, air condition, room lock, even the room lights, right? So by bringing everything to your virtual world, you can do very cool stuff with this, right? So like I said, as students, you need to look at research areas and see what are the opportunities available in these areas. Yeah. So IoT can be anywhere, mobile devices, edge devices. Edge mean like at the end, like light bulb, fan, AC, stuff like that. So if you look at IoT, look at the years. Now we already hit 50 billion, right? 50 billion devices already. Now 5G also playing a huge role there because you need 5G for IoT as well. And another big deal going on these days, at least this year, is NLP, natural language processing. I guess you already see what ChatGPT 4 could do, right? Amazing work. So there's a lot of work going on in the NLP side as well. In fact, on phone, you can speak in Sinhalese and it'll properly type what you're saying. It can detect what you're talking. Yeah. So any language that is not just English, you can speak in Tamil, English, Hindi, Japanese, whatever. So how does it work? Well, it recognizes the speech, it converts into words, and then there is a big machine learning system to learn what you're saying and then come back to a proper answer. So this is how it works. You can do, again, all kinds of stuff. Like you can talk to the computer rather than typing things, and it'll properly understand what you're saying and then come back to you with an answer. So edge computing is another one that is going on as well. So edge is like at the end of the platform, like in here, right? Cloud is the big guy, the servers. Fog is like in the middle, and the edge is at the end, like phones, cars, watches, lights, fans, ACs, all those things. So IoT and 5G is playing a huge role there. Plus, there is also a big deal coming up for cross-platform integration. I think this is where the social media integration is becoming a major player because I said we can use the social platform for authentication and we can use the Graph API to get more information about the user. And through that, we can again connect to other APIs. okay, out there to do much better service to our users. SDK stand for developer kit, right? System developer kit, where you get these SDKs from various companies to expand what you can do with their tools. Right? So, for example, Facebook gives you an SDK for Graph API. Microsoft does the same thing, which also brings us to highly connected, highly complicated tools such as ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning tools, where the whole organization is running one software, which has branches like the HR, marketing, customer support, production, all that. Yeah. So why integration? Well, increase productivity, real-time synchronization, enhance experience, application functionality, and also data analysis. So this is why we integrate with especially social media. Now, for example, there is this concept called ride sharing. You may have heard of this ride sharing. Ride sharing is, let's say I live in Malabe and I drive to Padukka every day morning and I come back home every day evening. So I can post my plan, like what time I'm leaving home and what time I'm leaving office, on a place called the ride sharing place. And then let's say somebody's coming from Hangwell. He's also coming to office. So maybe he's coming to Padukka. He can see that I am coming along this road and he can book me. So, my car has 4 seats and I'm the only one driving. So there are three more people can get into the car. So something like that. Now, I don't know what kind of people are getting into my car, isn't it? Similarly, that guy also doesn't know what kind of person I am. So if we can bring in social media integration to that, so we can then see whether this person has a proper social media place. Is it validated? Is he he's not a psychopath? Yeah. So all that we need to do social media integration and social media authentication. So that way we can do a lot of things. A lot of things we can do with this. So that was our week 2, or rather lesson 2. So let's look at lesson 3 now. So under lesson 3, we looked at content design. What kind of content are there and how to design them? What is the right way to do it? Things like that. Yeah. So why and the importance of content design. This is not Photoshop work, right? This is about design as a whole. So if you design it properly, you have a very good audience engagement. They like it, they might even share it, they'll give you feedback, provided your content is good. And then if you use the same color scheme and sort of stick with some brand guidelines, you are also improving the brand identity. Say, for example, now SLTC logo. Now you can see here, there is a very light, semi-transparent logo here, right? And I'm also using the same SLTC blue color. So I'm basically stick with the brand identity, isn't it? So if I use red and orange and green here, that doesn't make any sense. Right. And then there is this thing called visual communication. What does that mean? Visual communication is a big deal. It's a big topic. It's about how you can communicate using visual mediums, visual components like icons, font, colors, placement, empty space, things like that. And then how do you stand out? Because now when you go to Facebook, you're flooded with advertisement and post and various things. How do you stand out of all that? And also making sure that it is shareable easily. Okay? These are the things we need to keep in mind. And then few more things there. Conversion. So if you can design content in a proper way, you can also allow people to go to the next step, like say, for example, buying the product. Yeah. And also when you are creating content, storytelling is a very important aspect. What is the story here? It's not just a post. There has to be some emotion connected to it as well. And then platform optimization. Now, what does that mean? By the way, these are some of the things you should look for your exam. Yeah. Platform optimization means the design you created for Facebook cannot be used for, let's say, a Google banner or for Instagram post. You have to change it according to the platform. Right? And then data analysis. Once you publish it, you will be bombarded with logs. So how are you going to understand what is going on? Right? That's another big one as well. And then the accessibility. Consideration of accessibility principles in design. That is, how easy it is to access things. Now, this is also very, very important one. Now, remember, there are people with accessibility issues also coming online. People who are colorblind. In fact, blind people are using social media and the internet. How are they doing it? They enable voice feedback. So when they talk to the phone will talk back. Yeah. And it'll read the content. So when you are designing, you need to have certain, now for example, when you are doing HTML, you need to have a title tag for your images. So ALT attribute for your images, right? So that way the accessibility, people who can't see your picture will be able to listen to that at least. Yeah. So those are some of the things we have in mind. And where to start? If you're doing content design, where to start? Number one, capture the attention. How are you going to do that? And then reinforce the brand identity. Try to use the same color scheme. And then enhance user engagement. Now see how we can increase the engagement of the users, right? So number one is consistency when it comes to stuff like this. Now consistency means same brand colors and fonts, consistent color palette, limited set of fonts. Now if your logo uses one font, try to get the variations of that font and use it rather than changing it to something else. Visual style, maintain a uniform style for images and graphics. And also posting schedule, that's another important one because no point posting something today and then forgetting about it and then posting something next month or maybe after 3 months. Nobody knows what happened. So you need to have something called a posting calendar, something like this, where you have this is a weekly calendar for 1 month, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to Sunday. So which platform, what we are doing. So this is a say Instagram something, Facebook something, Instagram something, Facebook something. So it goes on and it also says post time 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. What kind of content, right? It says travel multi-post. So this is a calendar, a planning system where you can plan your month and then load your content and it'll automatically publish it to your social media systems. Here's another one. There are tools, by the way, available for content calendaring. So here's another example. 30 days of social media post ideas. So what to do for 30 days? Day 1, Monday, infographics. Question of the day, quick tips, branded graphics, your blog posts, inspirational quote, contest or game, stuff like that. So content is designed for 1 full month. And when you launch it through a software, people think you're actually engaging manually, which is good, right? And then when you're designing something, you also need to keep an eye on the visual hierarchy, meaning where does the eye go when they open it first? The focal points, we call it. And then also prioritization, like if you want to give priority to certain things, you need to keep it bigger or colorful, right? And then the layout, using grids and alignment for structured design. And simplicity is another very important one. Now, some people, I think some of the things we saw also have, bombarded with content. There are a lot of stuff there, colors and icons and various things. But then simplicity is the opposite of that. Simplicity sometimes give clarity. So there are these concepts called minimalistic design, clutterless, focus, Zen kind of thing, right? So like in here, right? Very simple. One picture, big text, and then one simple paragraph. Same thing here. So these are called minimalistic design. Then mobile optimization is another big deal. We need to make sure whatever we are designing is viewable on the mobile phone also. So this is another one you need to keep in for your exam as well. Mobile optimization, right? How does it work? What are the options available? Now, if you are doing a web-based thing, there is something called responsive design. If you are designing mobile application, then there is again responsive for mobile apps, right? So it must load fast also because your mobile phone may not be as fast as your laptop or a desktop. So you have to optimize it for mobile phone as well. So here are two concepts under that: adaptive and responsive. So adaptive is generate different content for different platforms. So you have 3 pages for 3 devices. That is adaptive. Whereas responsive, you have only one design that is getting adapted or response to multiple devices. So there's a big difference between adaptive and responsive. Okay. Here's a responsive device concept. So when you're designing for web, now these are called, if you start from the right-hand side, these are the mobile phones. You can see single column here, 2 column here. Tab browser, we have single column, 2 column. Laptop, we have 2 column and 2 column. Engagement through interactivity is another one we spoke about. You need to have some sort of interactivity. And you're putting a post, well, you see it and that's it. What can I do with it? Isn't there like a poll or a quiz or a game maybe, right? Or something that so funny they don't mind sharing with their friends, right? So here's a very interesting one. This is called CT or call to action. You might have a button that says sign up. So you say, don't say sign up. Say, get started today. Join the fun. Dive in. So don't say learn more. You can say, discover the secrets. Dive deeper. Explore further. Stuff like that. So these are texts or English rather that you can use to change what people are thinking. And then also use of visuals like images. What's the role of that? Very, very powerful, right? Now here's a definition of a good infographic. So a good infographic should have content, design, sharing, and messaging. This is sharing meaning shareable. Yeah. So if the infographic is so good, people don't mind sharing it. Right? So you need to, in fact, allow them to share, isn't it? So more sharing, better for us. So these are types of infographics. Now we are talking about the content, right? Social media content. So there can be list, comparisons, flowcharts, visual articles, there's maps, data visualization, timeline. So I took you through a lot of examples as well. And then comes storytelling, a very, very important one, because this is where we are connecting people with their emotions, right? So emotion is very powerful. So when you connect your campaign with emotion, it becomes very powerful, right? Here's a definition of storytelling. Storytelling is the greatest technology that humans have ever created. So we've been using storytelling from the Stone Age, isn't it? It's about storytelling and how your brain is working when it comes to storytelling. Yeah. And then comes the accessibility, right? Inclusive design, alternate text for images, and also readable font and high contrast. Now, sometimes you may have to give options like high contrast option or larger text and things like that. And then we spoke about analytics and feedback, how to track performance. There is something called A/B testing, where you have 2 designs where you're comparing A and B, and then going further with the results. This is about optimization. So you're looking at usability, accessibility, performance, visual design, and navigation. So these are called the positive user experience, right? And then we looked at various case studies. So that's our lesson 3. Then